In this video, we'll be walking through the business continuity plan template. You can find this template on our website at boston.gov/emergency under the business continuity planning toolkit. So in this plan, we'll be identifying actions that can be taken to continue operating your business and return back to normal operations following a disaster, disruption, or emergency. So we'll go through a planning checklist, an introduction, continuity and restoration strategies for your business's essential functions, communication procedures, maintaining your plan, and then some resources that are in the appendices. So we'll start with the planning checklist. This starts on page 4 of the plan template. This is a great place to start your planning process. Just gathering all of the documents related to your business, having them in one place to inform your development of your plan, but also to have them in one place and organized so that if a disruption occurs and you have to leave your facility, you can grab these documents quickly, or maybe they're on your laptop or computer, and take those with you when you leave to a safer location. So we have a list in the plan template on here on the slide as well. These are basic categories of areas in your business that you probably already have documentation on. So gathering those together and getting them organized is a great first step. Next up is the introduction. There's 3 sections within the introduction. There's purpose and scope. This simply defines what's in the plan and why it's important. In the case of the business continuity plan, this is how to prepare for and continue operating during a disruption or following a disruption, and then how to return back to normal operations. Next is a policies section. As you're developing your plan, these are other policies that you might want to consider that would inform your decisions as a disruption is occurring or an emergency is occurring. So consider company policies, industry regulations, and legal requirements that might inform how you continue operating your business and restore it back to normal operations. Thirdly is the delegation of authority. This is determining in advance of an emergency or disruption who has the authority to make decisions and implement the plan. So not just yourself as a business owner, but other employees in your business, maybe a manager, a spouse, a family member who can make decisions on your behalf if you're not available or not able to. So next we'll identify essential functions within your business. So these are actions or processes that are essential to delivering your products and services. That if there was an extended disruption to these functions, it could lead to business losses or failure. So if you open up 4.1 Essential Business Functions worksheet, we'll be utilizing this over the next few slides. And you'll see this list of examples of essential functions that are in most businesses. These are kind of general categories that you consider as you're thinking about the essential functions that are within your own business. So we'll give you an example of a bakery. Let's say I own a bakery. Some essential functions might be mixing dough, baking goods, delivering those goods to customers, storing or refrigerating those goods. Within supply chain and inventory, ordering supplies would be an essential function. In sales or customer transactions, having in-store point of purchase or online orders. And under personnel, some examples of essential functions are staffing and payroll. So we'll pause here and do an activity. If you look on the worksheet, it's the first column on the left. Just make a list of all the essential functions that you can think of in your business that you have to maintain or rapidly resume following a disruption. So you can think about what are the core products and services that generate revenue or serve your customers. And you can also think about those processes that are essential to delivering those products and services. So take a moment, fill out that first column, just think about any functions within your business that are really essential to the operations of your business that you can think of. Now that you have a list of essential functions, we're going to add some contextual information around them and also prioritize them so that as a disruption or an emergency occurs, you know which functions you really need to get back online quickly and which ones you can save for a later time or date. So for each essential function, we're going to now work on the middle column and the right-hand column on that worksheet and think about what is the priority to recover this function. How critical is it to your business? And you might think about times when a disruption would have a greater impact on your ability to perform this function. So maybe a season where this function is more critical to your business. Maybe it's the end of the month or the end of the quarter where you really need this to be able to perform this function. So in your middle column, take a look down your list of essential functions and prioritize them as critical, high, medium, or low. Then you can go through and identify a recovery time objective for each of your essential functions. So what's the maximum downtime for this function before operational or financial impacts would occur to your business? Do you need to get that back online in less than an hour, in 1 to 8 hours, 8 to 24 hours, or could you wait a few days before you get that function back online? So take a minute and go through, prioritize all of your essential functions, and determine what the recovery time objective is. Now that you've identified your essential business functions and you've prioritized them, how quickly you need to get them back online, now take each essential function that you've identified as critical and that you need to get back online in less than 8 hours, and we're going to put some context around each of those functions. So just starting with one function, think about who performs this function. Make a list of the managers, supervisors, staff, or suppliers or vendors if you outsource the function of who performs this function. Then think about who could act as a backup or an alternate if the person who normally does this function can't. Then briefly describe how to perform the function so that if you have to use your backup or alternate person or supplier or vendor to perform this function, they have some instructions on how to perform it. Then think about what training is required. Do you need a license, certifications? Is safety training necessary? And lastly, think about what is needed to perform the function. List off any equipment, records, reports, or data that you might need, supplies, utilities, or any space requirements that are needed to perform the function. Then think about what are the inputs and outputs of that function. It's rare that you have an essential function in your business that lives in a vacuum and doesn't connect into other aspects of your business. So think about what other internal functions or external entities are providing resources or input for your essential function that you're working on. And then also think about who uses the output of this function. Are there other functions within your business that rely on the outputs of this function? Or are there external entities that are relying on this function? So you're building the context around this particular function. Then think about what is your primary location where you perform this function? And is there a backup or secondary location where you could perform this? Think about what you had put into what is needed in your space to perform the function. Things like equipment, supplies, utilities, when you're selecting your alternate or backup location. And lastly, another way that you can prioritize your essential functions is to think about what the impact would be if you weren't able to perform the function. So think about what obligations that you might have to perform this function, whether they be legal, contractual, regulatory, or financial. And you can also think about what the losses would be, either financial or fines that might be imposed if you're not able to perform the function. So this might be things like lost sales and income, negative cash flow, increased expenses of overtime labor, outsourcing or expediting costs, regulatory fines, contractual penalties, customer satisfaction or defection, and delaying executive business plans or your strategic initiatives because of the disruption to your business. So think holistically about what the impact might be to your business if you couldn't perform this function for an extended period of time.